The crypto market, pretty flat at the time of this recording. XRP at $1.44. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and whatever crypto of note is probably up 1%, down 1%. Not a lot going on. We're just kind of waffling about. I will ask you this, though. For those of you out there that are into Flare, are you buying Flare right now? Because I don't always buy Flare heavily, but my spot is always under a penny. When Flare goes under a penny, that's my cue to start buying. What are you doing out there? Let me know down below. We got an XRP ledger roadmap for DeFi. To me, this is so important. We fell behind in the first rollout of DeFi, but institutional DeFi, that's a whole different story in orders of magnitude larger, in my opinion. We got a lot to go over. One way to do it, and that's let's just do it. All right, we see this right here. Ripple has officially unveiled its institutional DeFi roadmap, shifting focus towards a compliant-first ecosystem that mirrors the needs of global banks and asset managers. So this is large. We are hearing that every single asset of value will be tokenized over the next 5 years. That's going to be the biggest on-ramp in the history of mankind here. This is going to be huge. The 4 pillars, of course, here is stablecoin settlement. RLUSD is a primary liquidity layer we've needed. A serious stablecoin for so long, and they are building exactly that with RLUSD. Tokenized collateral using multi-purpose tokens for bonds and funds. I mean, this is what the future is going to look like. Compliance controls, built-in deep freeze, credential graded assets. So access. We have to know who is accessing these types of systems when we're dealing with institutions. They are ready to rock and roll. And on Ledger Credit, a native lending protocol for institutional capital. You know, when I first looked at the layout here for this, I'm like, that's not how DeFi works. Well, that's how it's going to work for institutions. It's not going to be like Aave where just anyone can jump in a pool. And again, this is going to be many orders of magnitude larger than anything we've seen to date. Permission domains XLS 80. Banks can now create VIP rooms on the public ledger where KYC verified participants can trade and settle. Of course, like BlackRock's BUIDL, that's what that's like. Not anyone can get in there. You got to be approved first. Confidential transfer, zero knowledge proofs. This is so important. You have, and I mean have to have privacy for both payments and also for trading. If the whole world sees your trade, you're not going to do very well at scale. That's what this is all about. And of course, permission DEX and smart escrows, regulated secondary markets for FX and tokenized assets. So this is going to be huge. Again, this every single asset of value is tokenized over the next 5 years, comes screaming on chain. I think XRP is the original RWA, DeFi, blockchain. They invented this stuff. As that, adoption curve starts to ramp up, they are really poised to capture a good chunk of this action. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do here. We see Ripple is officially moving into the big leagues of global finance. An estimated $50 billion valuation for the company. Ripple has surged into the top 10 most valuable companies on earth. And this is what's interesting. They're not worth $50 billion because of cross-border payments. Swift isn't worth probably, $1 billion. It's just not that valuable. XRP is what makes Ripple so valuable. It's what made those, big-time investors feel comfortable having this record-setting round because they know their value is backed up by XRP. That is the value of this company. People don't like to admit it. It's the truth. The only crypto-native firm that is in the top 10 right now, currently ranked number 9 in the world globally. The 9th biggest private company there is, sitting right there, was SpaceX, OpenAI, and the backing recent investments from heavyweights like Citadel, Fortress, and Pantera. And again, the reason they were willing to put the money in they did, part of it, we've seen it in the paperwork, is the XRP value. They understand there's way more XRP than even Ripple's valuation of $50 billion. They are protected. And that's a huge advantage that nobody else has. And despite the massive valuation jump, Ripple is ruling out an IPO. And that's what they're saying now. They're saying we're not looking for an exit. It's nothing to do with an exit. They are going to go public. It's going to make everything even more legitimate. And also, as we hire executives and programmers, we want to give them liquid stock options. Chris Larson, he needs a new yacht. Brad Garlinghouse, he needs a new Miami mansion. They will go public. Best believe it. It's going to be bullish because when they do, they're going to stop selling XRP, in my opinion. No reason to sell it. That is the base of their value. They may start accumulating. We will see as we go forward here. ZaoDao, make sure you join the first down XRP ledger history. Participate in the future of this blockchain. Use your Salmon wallet. Use your Bifrost wallet. It's $10. $10 for a lifetime membership. You can have a voice and also partake in profits of the DAO. Link down below and in the pinned comment. Click on it. Use your Salmon. Use your Bifrost wallet. Join today. Join the revolution and take part in this blockchain. It is so, so important. Now, a huge win for Ripple here. The stablecoin ecosystem, this just dropped from the CFTC. They've issued Staff Letter 2540, expanding the definition of payment stablecoins to include those issued by, well, a national trust bank. So this is going to be important as Ripple is going forward as a bank. It's a massive green light for RLUSD. Ripple moves to get that charter. Derivative power. RLUSD is now eligible as collateral in the multi-trillion-dollar U.S. derivative market. So it's just going to build more demand. You can use it in more markets, and you can use it for collateral. You can use it for leverage, and it's going to be used. You best believe it. We're sitting at $1.5 billion in market cap, and that is just the beginning here. We see the new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh, has signaled a leaner balance sheet, fewer rate cuts in 2026. A lot of people are worried about this. It's going to be bad for risk assets. Look, if he can do it, God bless him. I highly doubt it. They will be cutting that rate and expanding that balance sheet. It's all theatrics. I will believe it when I see it. That ain't going to happen. Kevin Warsh, Kevin Nobody, they are going to do exactly what I just said. Daily XRP burns have dropped recently to only about 500 a day, indicating that the network is currently operating well below its peak capacity. We're in a little bit of the doldrums right now. We'll fire out of here. February 11th and 12th is XRP Community Day. It's going to be a world-class event. Make sure you pay attention to that. Q1 2026, the Evernorth SPAC merger. This is going to be a really interesting, treasury company here with XRP. Can they leverage XRP to really grow the value of this company? I think they will. I think they're going to do a great job there. And lastly, voting on XLS66. Validators are currently voting on native lending. So we need this native lending, borrowing. It is so important. Everything else is a tack on. This will be built into the protocol itself. Now, I wrote this here, and understand what I'm saying. I'm not anti-Bitcoin, not by a long shot. I think Bitcoin has many very novel reasons to make it valuable, but people take it too far. And we see here, Bitcoin, the illusion. If the code is open, then does the paycheck really matter? This is the argument we've seen over the last couple of days. You were told Bitcoin is revolutionary and a leaderless, decentralized, volunteer-driven miracle. That's what we've been told here, right? Born in the depths of the internet, pure math, pure freedom, no masters, nothing, right? And XRP is the opposite, right? It's this corporate, centralized, controlled by Ripple Coin, a rich man's token pretending to be a crypto. What did we just recently find out here? Well, guess what? People have to fund Bitcoin development, don't they? We just don't always know who they are, but thanks to the recent release, we found out, well, Epstein was one of the biggest funders at one of the most important times in Bitcoin's history. We put that out there. What was the answer? Well, Bitcoin's decentralized. You can look at the code yourself. Who funds its development doesn't matter. Okay, fair enough. If that's the case, if Ripple funds XRP Ledger development, the code is open source. You can look at it yourself and you can confirm how it functions. In other words, it doesn't matter if Ripple funds its developments either. And I'll tell you this even further. If you got a problem with Ripple funding the development of XRP, but you think it's okay that, Epstein was funding Bitcoin, if that's okay, but you got a problem, you got something wrong in your brain, people. And again, my point is not anti-Bitcoin. They're right. It's decentralized. You can look at the code. You can make your own determination of the value of that network. But a shield is a shield. If the decentralization is a shield for Bitcoin that can deflect Epstein, well, it's got to work the same way for the XRP Ledger and Ripple, doesn't it? It's a little bit more complicated than that. I have the link down below if you want to read through that article. Now, when that didn't work, we saw people come back to the missing blocks. This freaking argument. We see here Bram Stroker. He's saying that 32,750 blocks are missing. We always go back to this. So let's cover it. During this amount of blocks, from block 1 to 32,570, these blocks that are missing, nobody was on the network. Who cares if it's just Jed and Arthur and David doing testing? They're not stealing from themselves. No one is doing any transactions there that you could steal from that would matter. There is nothing you could gather from those first blocks because no one was on the network. Then it got stable, it kept going, and they just left it be. There's nothing that is missing or to hide. From that block forward, you have everything. And then here comes regular folks on the network using it. And that's what you need to know. I asked this guy 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times today. Why would this matter? What could have happened from block 1 to block 32,000 when there wasn't a single individual that was not a developer on this ledger? What transaction are you worried about? And they can't give a sensible answer because there is no sensible answer. What is your concern here? And that's the thing. We have these things that just go around and they pop up and people pull them out like they think it means something. And this guy said, well, it just shows that, it wasn't the immaculate conception like Bitcoin. Bitcoin was designed by a person or persons. It's just code. People develop it. And it was very centralized from day one. It was just Satoshi, and then it was Satoshi and Hal, and then over time it became more decentralized. Same thing with the XRP ledger. It's the same exact, idea here. It starts centralized, people jump on, participate, and it decentralizes over time if it's successful. Again, you can argue till you're blue in the face. People don't get it, but we get it. Anyway, check this article out, link down below. And if someone tries to tell you that somehow Bitcoin is magical and so much better, send them this article because hopefully it'll set the record straight. Saw this from Stifel. The analyst here says Bitcoin is not digital gold. That wasn't the interesting part. He's calling for a drawdown to $38,000. Man, that's going to be a bloodbath. If we see that happen, I don't see that happening. I sure hope it doesn't happen. Is that a reasonable call? Do you see that big of a drawdown? Let me know down below. I'm curious to see what you had to say. Lastly, we have Patrick McHenry here that's saying the president will sign a market structured bill by Memorial Day. If it gets done this year, it's going to be huge. And he says right now the banks are making everything worse by not negotiating, and that's not going to be tolerated much longer. Look, you have some people saying it's the banks. You have some people saying it's Coinbase. They're trying to pressure both sides to make a deal here, and a deal will be done. You best believe that. The question is, does it happen this year? We best hope so, because if not, probably not going to happen until the end of next election, and you might not like the way those rules end up looking like, Let me know down below what you think, though. As always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.